Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Lee?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. I enjoyed our chat with a few other folks a couple weeks ago, and I'm so appreciative of your life story and what you've done to destigmatize the need to be able to talk about mental health and to go seek help if it's needed.
Hmm.
And so I thought I wanted to ask you how did you come to share your own story publicly, and were you ever afraid about talking about mental health and your own journey, and did you ever feel sort of stigmatized or think, hey, what are people going to think of me? How did you come to sort of that moment of courage?
So for me, I've always kind of felt kind of out of my place and isolated from other people within my own space in real life. Even from a very early age, about 7, 8 years old, I've always kind of felt different mentally. Just like I always felt like I didn't think how other people thought. So I always felt like I was kind of like an outsider in society. So growing up and feeling that way, I've always tried super hard to fit in. And then, long story short, my wife ended up leaving me in 2020, right before the pandemic started. Like literally when Roy, I live in North Carolina, so Roy Cooper gave a stay-at-home order, and my wife did not obey the order. She left. She you know, she did not obey the stay-at-home order. She ended up
Do
leaving.
you guys have any kids or no kids?
So we have two kids now. So at the time we had one. Um, and she ended up leaving, and that just kind of jarred me because I understood that it was my fault in that situation. So that kind of jarred me to going back into therapy and sticking with it because like therapy has always helped me, just kind of realize gave me an open space to be honest with myself and with a person that I trusted, because I think a lot of people that are dealing with mental health issues feel like they don't have people that they can trust to say certain things to about how they're feeling inside. That's what I had with my therapist. So I go to therapy. I trust her to validate my emotions and to kind of guide me along the right path of how I should be feeling in those moments. And then I talked to my wife. We ended up going to marriage counseling, and she came back home. And in order
Good
to
for you.
just yeah, 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 good. In order for me to kind of stay the course, I started talking on TikTok about mental health. I was like, hey guys, I have this personality disorder. I've always felt ashamed of having it, and I shouldn't feel ashamed. So I started talking about it on TikTok, and it kind of blew up to where it is right now. People started resonating with me
It was
because
organic. It's not like you thought, "Hey, I'm going to put these out and it's going to do really well and get a big following." You were surprised, huh?
yeah, I was more surprised that people resonated with it, because a lot of people, because I had two TikTok accounts. My other TikTok account was just for being funny and comical.
How's that
Um,
one doing?
that that was it was at the time it was at like a quarter million. I had 250,000 people who followed that account, so it was pretty decent sized.
Oh, that's pretty
Um,
good.
so this account was just a vent and just my inner thoughts. I just wanted to talk about my inner thoughts because I feel like a lot of people in today's society, they repress themselves. I was just like, I'm gonna be honest online and just talk, and people were accepting of it. I feel like there were so many people that were accepting of what I had to say and my journey. I was like, wow, people, y'all not judging me. And people didn't judge. I mean, some people judged, of course, but the majority of people, they kind of like, they like, I like this honesty. I like this, the truthfulness that is coming from you, because you hear certain things about people dealing with personality disorders and mental health issues. You kind of think that they're going to be a certain type of way. You think that they're going to be, ruining people's lives and hurting people. But when you see me being open and honest and vulnerable, it kind of changes people's perspective on mental health. That's always been my goal from the
Yeah,
beginning.
talk about the narcissistic personality disorder. What is it? How I'm sure you've talked before, but for folks who haven't
Mhm.
heard you, what is it, and how have you managed to deal with it?
So for me, narcissistic personality disorder is a cluster B personality disorder that comes with a grandiose sense of self importance to make you feel like you're above accountability, like you're above you're above people telling you what to do and people holding you accountable for certain actions and things like that, and you are really extremely shame avoidant, and plus you always find a way to be the perpetual victim. It's like you're living in perpetual victimhood. Like everybody's against me, in certain situations. Like in every situation that's not going my way, is because everybody's against me. It was planned. It was a plot against me and things of that nature to excuse my behaviors and whatnot over the last Well, I'm 38 now, but like last few years I've been able to deal with it more on a healthier level. Um, but online and things like that have allowed me the space to talk about it and just to feel better about myself in this dynamic or whatnot.
It's wonderful. And you must have a very loving wife that she came back to you. She understood your struggles and is supportive and has been there for you.
Yeah, she's super supportive. Of course, she has her, she definitely a strong woman. Like she definitely has her boundaries and stuff up and things of that nature. But I feel like the main thing that therapy has helped me with is my communication issues, like my ability to communicate and to feel safe outside of therapy. Because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with in today's society. They feel like they don't have a safe person to talk to because they feel like they will be ostracized for how they think. And that's how I felt for a long time until I got on social media, until I started TikTok and people were welcoming. I was like, now I can be me. I'm like literally right now, how you see me talking to you online, it's literally how I am in real life. I feel like I don't have to
Is
hide
that
who
a
I am.
form of therapy too, with your online audience in terms of sharing what your thoughts are, or is that different?
Yeah, I feel like it's become an addition, an add on to therapy. Because I feel like I go to therapy once or twice a month, but I feel like I get to be online and vent and talk about the stuff that's going on inside of my head. I feel like that it actually helps, and to get positive feedback and people that support me helps out a lot as well. People just support it and just talk about it in a positive way. Just say, hey, look, you might have this mental health thing going on, this personality disorder, but that does not determine who you are. And I'm like, damn, I love that. I love being able to talk and be myself, be authentic and whatnot.
Now, are your parents still alive, and were you able to ever talk to any of them about your situation, or no?
So both my parents are still alive. They're just involved in different levels. My mom is super involved in my life. My dad, he's around, but he's more along the lines of like I don't blame him for the reason I have my personality disorder, but if you look back in my family history, like how I got this personality disorder is like when my father was like 7 or 8 years old, his father, took his own life. He woke up on a Monday morning, 5:30 a.m., went into the bathroom with a gun, and he ended his life. My dad was one of the people who found him, and that traumatized the 7 or 8 year old back in the 70s. And there's no, what kind of help can a 7 or 8 year old little boy get back in the 70s? So he grew up to be, just a shut down, reserved man, and he emotionally neglected me, which led to me having a personality disorder. It led to me being who I am right now. But I don't blame him for that because he can't control his circumstances as a child. You don't get to pick your parents.
No.
You can't choose. You wouldn't choose the parents that took their own life and whatnot. So he did the best he could under those circumstances. That doesn't excuse his behaviors, but it gives me a reason to understand how he works. And I feel like understanding your family history and where your parents came from or your grandparents had to deal with can help you on your own mental health issues as well. Like understanding your own family
Absolutely.
history dynamic.
And so when you say that he was not, he was more reserved, it's sort of you couldn't go to him as a kid if you were sad or if you were upset or hurt. He just was less emotional, more reserved in terms of how he interacted.
Yeah, you could take the good stuff to them, the fun stuff, the when you were having fun and enjoying yourself. You could take that to them, but anything that was beneath the surface, any type of negativity, he wasn't emotionally ready for that. He couldn't handle it. Still can't handle it today. In his late 50s, he still can't handle it today. But I kind of accept him for who he is right now. It's like circumstances are different
Oh,
nowadays
it's
than they
right.
were back
And
then.
would you go to your mom with that then, or was that
So my mom, is like she's super involved, but she's not like she worked second shift. My mom worked second shift growing up. So we were primarily raised by my aunt. My aunt was there every single day. So it's just like my mom was there, but she would come home at night
She was
and tuck us
working
in
to
the
make
bed and
ends
stuff
meet.
like that.
Yeah.
So what?
To make ends meet. She was working two
Yeah,
jobs.
yeah. So she had to work. She was a single mom. She had to work and whatnot. So that kind of led to us kind of having to learn certain things on our own growing up, and why like you had to kind of learn how to process certain information and certain emotional responses on your own growing up and whatnot. So it's just like you don't have that adult or that older person that goes, hey, this is how you're supposed to act. This is how you're supposed to react, and things of that nature. So it's kind of like you have to learn on your own, like deal with situations on your own. And a lot of times you repress certain emotions growing up and whatnot. I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people suffer from that repression, like holding things in nowadays.
Yeah, that's very deep. And what about your aunt? Are you still in touch with her? Did you
Uh,
have a
so she passed away in 1999. So she's been gone for a while, and I feel like her passing away in 1999 actually had another effect on my mental health as well because we looked to her for emotional support, and now she's gone. So there's nobody there to
how
support you
old were
emotionally.
you back then?
When she
You
passed
were young.
away, February 1999, I was 13 years old. So I was 13. Um, so and still at that young age, you don't have the emotional safe place to go to, so you kind of shut down and whatnot and such.
And how hard was it in terms of being a man talking about mental health? Because there's so much, unfortunately, stigma with men. How hard was it being a black man talking about mental health?
Um, the crazy thing about that is it's not gonna sound crazy, but 90% of my followers are women. So I feel like women seem to be more in tune with their mental health and their emotional state, or more open to it, more open to hearing about it than men are.
Yeah.
Because most of the 10% of my followers are men, but most of the hate and the derogatory comments I get are from men who don't understand what I'm saying because I feel like a lot of them they see my vulnerability as weakness because they were raised to see, hey, you're talking about emotions, you're weak. Immediately, they think I'm pandering to women because I'm talking about being vulnerable and feeling safe with people, feeling safe to talk to people about emotions and make sure my wife is emotionally, she's getting her needs met emotionally. Make sure my kids are getting their needs emotionally. A lot of people, men in particular, see that as me being a weak person, which is kind of like counterintuitive to my goal because I want people to see, hey, this guy, this black man in America is out here talking about mental health. Like he's going to therapy. He's living a good life. His wife came back. His kids are happy and and healthy and whatnot. So why can't I do that as well? I'm trying to be a role model for a certain type of people, but some people don't want to see me as a role model. They see me as an antagonist in their life. You know, a lot of people blame me for their relationships breaking up because I talk about mental health and emotional safety, and they just like, well, you ruined my relationship because my partner, saw me for who I am. They saw me as emotionally dysregulated or emotionally disconnected from them and whatnot. So there is a big stigma within specifically the black community of going to therapy because even me, when I went to therapy, I didn't tell people what I went to therapy for. I'm just, hey, I'm going to therapy to get some help. Therapy is fun, guys, because there's a lot of shame associated with that because
Well, why in
seeing
the
me go to
black
therapy.
community in particular? Or do you think it's just there in many
I,
communities?
I think it's in many communities, but like I can speak, I'm just speaking specifically on the black community because that's I'm a part of it. Um, but I think it's in many communities where you get people just don't understand it because they automatically think they think therapy is equivalent to crazy. Automatically, like you're going to therapy, you must be crazy. There must be something wrong with you. And most people when they think there's something wrong with you, they avoid therapy at all costs because that's admittance to something going on, something feeling different, being different, and whatnot. That stigma that's attached to it made me almost not want to go to therapy. If you look back at my Facebook post from when I started therapy in October 2017, I was sneaking around. I was sneaking around going to therapy, not tagging the therapist's office. I was just like, hey guys, I'm going to get some help today. I'm going to refresh my mental health. I was ashamed because I thought people were going to judge me. But before I started my social media platform, I got more comfortable talking to the people in my real life on my real life Facebook hey guys, I have narcissistic personality disorder. I'm going to therapy. And I kind of disappeared for a little while to see what people were going to say. And all of it was positive. It's like people were clapping, they were happy. They was like, I was like, wait, y'all not going to judge me? They're like, no, go get help. I wish my husband would go get help. I wish my brother would go get help. I was like, okay. And that gave me the confidence to start my TikTok account. Because I started my own personal Facebook before I started my TikTok. So I was just like, it was good.
So, how can you reach more men to, share your story? Because obviously you've done an incredible job with getting
Mhm.
into the pop culture. But if it's mostly women, how do you inspire more men to take your path?
To make it so in the world today, I feel like there's such a divide between what people view as masculinity and femininity. It's kind of weird because people see emotional intelligence as a feminine trait for some reason. So what my goal is right now is to make it seem like, hey, I'm 6'3", I'm 250 pounds, I'm like a pretty big dude. I'm like, and I go to therapy. I'm emotionally intelligent enough to regulate myself and whatnot. So I'm trying to inspire people that way because that it seems like that reaches a lot of men. Like when you see the big strong man doing manly stuff, like I feel like I need to go to the gym and bench press and talk about therapy. If I feel like that would help,
Have you
I
done
feel like
that? Have you done
no,
that?
I need to. That's a new
That
idea.
could
Like
go viral. Bench pressing, talking about
it
therapy.
might. I go do some deadlifts and talk about emotional intelligence. I feel like this might be what it takes because so many people, especially from like my generation and before, it seems like so many people have such a different view on masculinity and what it should be. Because when you ask people to describe what masculinity means to them, they always talk about big, bulky, strength and strong provider type stuff. So I want to make it seem like just me being a grown man with a wife and kids. Like, hey, look, you can have the life that you want and also be emotionally intelligent. You can also go to therapy and get help. So you're not only not hurting your partner and your kids and the people around you. You are feeling better about yourself because a lot of times when you feel bad about yourself, it leads you into a depression. It leads you into that self isolation when you're feeling alone in the world and whatnot. So I want to normalize it to the point where it's just like, hey, look, you can be a man and go to therapy, and people will cheer for you, as opposed to be negative about it and try to stigmatize you and try to belittle you. Hey, this dude going to therapy, y'all. Pick on him, laugh at him. Instead, I want people to like, hey, this dude going to therapy, clap for him. So I
I
feel like if my
appreciate it.
platform gets bigger, it actually as my platform grows, it actually helps more people just understand. Just like, look, I can do that. If anything, people can compete with me because a lot of people do. The other thing, a lot of people compete. what I have going on now, people want to compete with me instead, which is cool. As long as you're going to get help, compete as much as you want to.
Being on TikTok, you mean, for getting an audience?
All over like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever it's at. I just feel like if you see me and you think you can do better than me, like let me go to therapy and get more help than he has. Like cool, that's amazing. Go get more help than I have. Go to therapy 3 times a month instead of two, because that's what I want to inspire. And like even though I have 3 kids. I have 2 boys. I have a 16-year-old and a 7-year-old. I want to show them that hey, look, you can go to therapy and get help. Because my oldest son, he goes to therapy. He's in therapy too. Um, here and there. And my youngest son, he about to start going to therapy just to deal with some emotional regulation issues. Like, hey, look, I go to therapy. They might be sad. I don't want to go talk to therapists because it makes me feel stupid. It makes me feel bad. Hey, I go to therapy. You think I'm stupid? You think I'm bad? Oh no, I actually look up to you. Okay, so they go to therapy. They're fine going to therapy because they have a role model that makes it okay to do it. It's okay to go get therapy. It's okay to go get help, and that's why I'm trying to drive for my kids as well.
Well, that's very, very inspiring. So tell me, I mean, I'm inspired by your work because I think there's a mental health crisis in our country. I think not enough people are talking about it. Not enough people are talking about well-being, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with our young people in our schools. Not enough people are understanding the mental
Mm-hmm.
health issues that they have. And we need to make sure that we are talking about it, destigmatizing it, encouraging people to go to therapy, to get help, to have conversations about it, that we have the resources so that young people are able to access the services that they need.
Hmm.
what is the role that Congress and our government can play in tackling this mental health crisis?
So I feel like Congress. One thing I feel like Congress can do is lead lead by example, of course. Like, because I think a lot of people see see Congress on TV, and they see a lot of people out there just saying absolutely crazy things that actually go against mental health things. I see
Yeah.
a lot of people that are just saying outrageousness out there, just like to for clicks and for views and things of that nature to go viral with. I feel like, of course, money is the most. I feel like one of the most important things, because a lot of people, including myself, like when I first started therapy, when I first started therapy. This is 2017, so I was what was that? I think I was at Blockbuster Video. I think that's what I was worked at. I might be wrong. I might be at a distribution center, but what was that? No, I was real estate. No, 2017. I was a real estate agent. I was working in real estate. I was a real estate agent in 2017. So I was a new real estate agent. And therapy was, I had to, I had to cut costs to go to therapy, because each session was $170, $180.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah.
With insurance. It's kind of crazy sometimes in that space, because not every therapist, you know, uses some type of particular insurance. So I feel like if they can do something about the cost, maybe some type of subsidy, some type of grant. Hey, look, I have this. I feel different. I might need some type of grant to make therapy less. Kind of
Yeah.
like what I had to thought about. You know how like Section 8 works. You know what I mean? When people
Yeah, for
qualify for
housing.
Section 8, like give me a therapy grant. Give me
Yeah.
something to
Or
lower the
make it
cost.
covered by Medicare and expand Medicare, universal
Yeah.
health.
Oh yeah. Something that it encompasses, like that makes the therapist feel comfortable, in order to because it still can be so expensive and whatnot. Because like when I first started, I was only going once a month, because that's literally all I could afford. I was like, look, if I go twice, the lights might not be on next month. So it's just like you have to choose between your lights for a month or one hour of therapy. It's kind of like, give me the lights. Give me. I can be mentally ill with the lights on, as opposed to feeling healthy in the dark and whatnot. So I feel like adding some type of subsidy or grant, or like included in Medicaid and Medicare, to help people out to be able to afford it more, I feel like would be amazing. And plus, I also feel like the earlier you get help, the better off it is. I feel like the earlier, like if you have kids in school that are having mental health issues, or lashing out and whatnot, being super angry and aggressive and fighting and all this type of stuff, like that's a mental health thing that's going on right there. So for like getting therapists or counselors that are more qualified to deal with certain mental health issues can also be a great. It can be so amazing to catch kids when they're younger. Because kids always have teachers that they remember, but very rarely do you remember a counselor from school. I can't remember a counselor from
Yeah, I
any of
can't
my school.
either.
I can't remember a counselor that, like, what, that counselor, Counselor Ro Khanna changed my life. I haven't heard people say that. I've heard people say my math teacher, Mr. Courts. I always remember him for being funny. Nobody ever talks about that counselor. So I just feel like giving counselors, or having more counselors in the schools and things like that, can help inspire people from a younger age to do better or to change their life. Somebody said only person I remember is my counselor. So yeah. But it happens as well. I just feel like leaving a lasting impact on children helps out so much, because, like I said, the lasting impact that my dad had on him, on his mental health, was his father taking his life, and that changed his life from
Yeah.
that point forward, and that changed my life. You see how it's like a trip? It's kind of like the
Yeah,
triple
there's
down
a
effect.
generational impact.
Mm-hmm.
But you're absolutely right. I went to school, 800 kids in my class, and maybe there were two or three counselors, and so you can't get to know your counselor if it's one of uh, 200 or 300 kids that they're dealing with. And this is
Mm-hmm.
why we need more counselors, therapists, so that the ratio is there, so that they can really get to know young people. And someone had said that everyone has issues in some kind, especially at a young age. Everyone
Yeah.
needs to know how to regulate their emotions, how to react to adverse events. Obviously, something traumatic if they're losing a parent, but also just everyday life in the time of social media and the time of so much pressure growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think Congress can do two things. One, we can make it more possible to have therapists and counselors at schools. And two, we can make it easier to afford therapy for working class families like yours, where your mom was there and working, and you probably needed it as a young kid, and even now as an adult. I mean, we got to make healthcare cover
Yes.
mental health and therapy and destigmatize it. And
Yeah.
so I think I think your voice and these kind of conversations are so important to really address this and to address it as the health crisis it is. I'm going to give you the last word. What is your hope in terms of going forward and the work you're doing to deal with mental health issues? What's your hope for what you can inspire people around the country to do and our government to do?
So I feel like my hope is to inspire somebody, like people, to take action within their own mental health, because at the end of the day, getting help, it starts with yourself. Like the government can have the programs available out there, they can have all that ready, but you have to be the one that actually goes and tries to do it. You have to be the one to take action to go get to even know that those programs exist, if they do exist. If there's money out there for you to go get help, you have to be able to go out there and get the knowledge to know that those programs are available for not only for you but for your kids as well. But I also think that, like, government wise, it's just to like seriously just to get it out there, because like when you hear something happen or a tragedy, people say, it's the mental health tragedy. It's like, but what's the solution? Like, if something happens, like it's the mental health in the United States, like, what's next though? Like, you can say it's mental health, but what's the solution after that? What's the continue? Because so many people just say it's the mental health, and then they walk off stage and they disappear. But like, it's the mental health. So let's do this right here. Let's make a plan to get more people qualified or whatever it is to help other people out. Just like a plan of action, as opposed to just saying, the words mental health, which it sounds good. It does sound like it's the mental health, guys. Let's pray. But like, give me something else after that. Like, don't end, like I was telling you in the Zoom, like, just don't end the statement right there. Don't put a period right there. Give me a comma or a semicolon after that. It's the mental health. So here's the plan of action we're going to take right here. We're going to, get more money allocated. We're going to pass a bill for this, as opposed to wasting money and things like this on just other things like that. Because I feel like that's what people, if anything people can agree on, everybody's saying it's mental health, then where's the mental health bill? Like the mental health, mental health. I don't know. Y'all have the fancy initials and the acronyms for the bills that y'all pass. Y'all can have a cool acronym for a mental health bill that you pass.
Well, let's work on it. I'm inspired, Lee, by your sharing your story, by the life you've had, by your resilience, by your finding your best self, working to find that, and inspiring so many around the country. And I'm looking forward to working with you to getting more resources, counselors, particularly to our young people, and to talking about mental health in an honest way, in a way that connects with people, that doesn't make them feel judged. And so thank you for being such a powerful voice in our country.
I appreciate it. Thank you for chatting with me and whatnot. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone, take care.
Have a good day. Thank y'all. Thank you so much for making it to the end of my video. I am extremely grateful for you. Have no idea. If you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Helps reach more people. And click on the screen to watch another video or to browse through another playlist. There's also a link on the screen to check out my courses and my support groups to help you heal and understand what you've been through. Thank you so much again. I will see you in the next video. Peace.